Hello, hello. This is Dr. Matthew Loop. Welcome to this brand new training. I'm going to share with you some powerful strategies that will help you move forward and grow your practice as we enter 2021 in spite of all the craziness out there right now. This training deals with Google My Business, also known as Google Maps. So make sure you shut yourself away so you can really absorb this information. Turn off your cell phone, get out of Facebook. This is very important and timely. Now, I've titled this talk, The 2021 Google My Business New Patient Blueprint, How to Rank Number One and Attract an Extra 10 to 20 New Patients per Month from the world's largest search engine without spending a dollar. You're also going to learn 7 new updates that weren't available for us last year that can impact your ranking and, of course, your brand and how you grow your practice. So pay close attention. Now, some of you might not be familiar with who I am, so let me give you just a little Cliff Notes backstory so you can understand. Myself, I'm a chiropractor like you, graduated in 2004. Of course, all I wanted to do was help people once I got out of school. Found out very early on I just wasn't going to hang my sign and automatically people would come in. So I had to get to a very low point in my practice. In fact, I was $130,000 in student loan debt. My credit cards were maxed because of all the ineffective advertising and marketing gimmicks that I tried. It got to a point where I was so low, my ex-girlfriend's father had to cut me a check for $2,000 to float me along for the week. I had an extra $1,000 in bills due that I couldn't pay. That was a humiliating point in my own life that really taught me, one, I need to figure this marketing stuff out because I'm a great quote unquote technician, but my practice is not growing as fast and I'm a little bit naive or wet behind the ears when it came to business. And two, that situation taught me that I never wanted to be at such a low point again. Right place at the right time. This was about 2005, 2006. Little social network called MySpace was around. I don't know if any of you docs remember MySpace. If you do, you can just type it in the chat right now. Well, if you can believe it, I was attracting new patients in my office from MySpace of all things in 2005 and 2006. And I started to get really good at that. I learned that people on social media were actually real people and you could connect with them by specific interests and if they were within 5 miles of your office. So it was really new territory. Certainly no one knew what social media had become. And of course, as that trickle turned into an extra 10 plus new patients just from MySpace at the time, I had other colleagues asking me, hey, what are you doing? How are you harnessing this network? And can you show me? And then I began to show other chiros. Initially, they were friends on how to do this, and they started referring me their other chiropractors, and they referred me other professions and colleagues. So my journey accidentally veered into consulting very, very early on. And I was like, if I could help thousands of doctors reach millions of patients with this newer technology, that's just really amazing. And I decided to kind of veer that way. But throughout that time, I've been able to help over 8,400 chiropractors just as clients. Over 25,000 more have went through my free trainings online. I'm the best-selling author of a book called Social Media Made Me Rich. Here's how it can do the same for you. Been very fortunate to speak on NASDAQ, some of the most prestigious stages in chiropractic, and due to what social media has given me and many of my clients. And by the way, if you have any questions at any time, you can always look me up on social media. I'm probably most active on these 3 platforms, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, at Matthew Loop, and my fan page on Facebook is at Matthew J. Loop. So just an FYI there. And I will let you know that I have a great cultural authority white paper for chiropractors. It's what every DC should have learned in school, but didn't. 11 professional ways to earn prestige, instant expert status, and public trust. And you can download that if you go to dcincome.com/blog/authority. Just tell me where to send it and we'll get it out to you. And if you ever have any questions, you'll be on my email list anyway, so I can just do a quick response. Now, going back to the fact that social media totally changed my life, it totally changed many of my clients' lives as well. If you do it in a certain way, it can allow you to get into amazing places. Here I am speaking at the Harvard Faculty Club directly on the campus of Harvard across from the president's house. I was invited to speak there a few years ago, also at NASDAQ, many chiropractic events and such. And through the use of social media, I've been able to network with influencers. And I like to try to teach those same methods to the chiropractors that are in my trainings and courses, because once you're able to get in the circle with influencers, things get a lot easier. Your brand credibility elevates much high, and you become like kind of like the Dr. Oz of the marketplace. So it's a really powerful thing, that when you couple social media, Google, all these things together with this social proof, you become the only logical choice. This is a dinner I got to have with Evander Holyfield, myself and a few other friends. Spent a few hours with the guy. He's telling us stories about him and Tyson way back in the day, and so many other cool things. And through my mastermind group, I got to hang out with Sir Richard Branson last year on his private island. Imagine a billionaire philanthropist serving you lamb tandoori in a pirate costume in the Caribbean. It's just like a very surreal experience. And of course, I've gotten to connect with mentors like Tony Robbins, Kevin O'Leary of Shark Tank, Suzanne Summers, people that are natural health advocates. So I tell you that to let you know that I'm not a fly-by-night consultant or Johnny-come-lately. I've been doing this a long time. I've helped a lot of chiropractors, and I can absolutely help you grow even in the most chaotic times that we live in. A lot of my clients are setting records. So let's get into it. First, we got to talk about the pillars of social media outreach. We're going to cover Google My Business really hard today, but you need to learn all the different ways that you should be marketing and advertising online, because once you set this up, you've got a massive spiderweb online that just feeds back to your website or your online properties, and you become that only choice. So yes, you've got the reputation social proof management aspect, the Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, organic marketing side of things. That's where you're posting on social media, the free stuff. You've got the pay-per-click advertising. Facebook, AdWords, LinkedIn, and many other channels have their own pay-per-click. Search engine optimization is just a way of saying getting ranked at the top of Google for your website. That's still important moving into 2021. YouTube and other online video platforms like TikTok, Instagram TV, Facebook, they all have video components. Blogging, microblogging networks like Twitter, photo sharing like Pinterest and Instagram, which is perfect for the chiropractic demographic. You have the news releases and publicity element of the internet, along with podcasting. So many different pillars that you definitely want to master. So getting into Google My Business, aka Google Maps, what does it look like? So if you're new, I'm sure you've seen this once you search. I just did a quick search for Bozeman, Montana chiropractor, and this is what it pulled up. If you're a prospective patient looking for a chiropractor in this city, who would you choose? The person with 63 reviews, 464, or 137? 9 times out of 10, if you're like most people, you're going to choose the one with the most reviews. It's obvious. We assume that a business, book, brand, chiropractic office that has the most reviews must be the best in the community. That's how our brain is wired. So people buy doctors like they buy books on Amazon. Now, this was formerly called Google Maps, Google Places, but this is how you become trustworthy in their eyes. I believe it's the most valuable real estate on Google, period. And when you dial it in, it is low-hanging fruit. And by the way, you already know it's almost 2021. You have to be marketing and advertising like it's the year we actually live in. So that's what this training and all of my trainings are about. So I'm going to give you what's new. We're going to start with 7 major Google My Business updates, though. New COVID-19 post type. This is one where now on your Google My Business listing, there is a section where if you've had any modifications or adjustments to your practice and your business, you can share them here. Or if you're making certain strides, or if you're following the CDC protocols, you can put information here that basically helps to calm the nerves of those prospective patients. So do you want to utilize this option? Absolutely you do. Anytime Google rolls out a new feature, you should be using it. There's also the temporarily closed status. So for instance, if you were in one of those states where chiros were considered non-essential providers, you could actually have used this temporarily closed just to let people know. It really sucks when somebody goes to your practice and they think you're going to be open, but you're not. Some people write negative reviews on things like that. I know it's terrible, but unfortunately, that's just how some people are. So better to utilize this if it's true, but that is now an option. You've got support and donation links. Now, I've seen this on several businesses and some I haven't. So this may or may not be available to you right now, but at Google, they might roll it out more frequently. This is just where people could buy a gift card at your practice or your business and or donate because they knew that you were a small business in the area and trying to pay your staff, etc. You've got the virtual care link now. Many of you, that especially that I've consulted with, have added a telemedicine component to your practice, which is awesome. And now you can add that if you go into your Google My Business back office and have a virtual care link. So this could go to a page on your chiropractic website where it's specifically about virtual care. Pretty cool. And you definitely want to add that. Secondary hours. If you have secondary hours now, definitely add them to your primary listing. You're able to do that once you edit your Google My Business listing. And that's just a quick example. You've got now the ability to ask and answer questions. This is also interesting because Google does, when they look at the Google Maps listing, in terms of SEO and ranking your Google My Business listing higher, as people ask questions about, hey, I'm looking for a chiropractor in Atlanta, chiropractor in Atlanta are a key word for this listing. So if somebody asks a question like that, well, then you could respond and you should respond to all of these, but it does help the listing. So you might even potentially have friends or family members or patients talk and ask a question that might be related. Now, I'm not going to tell you to keyword stuff these questions, but Google does look at this and they kind of align it with the city, the specialty, and whatnot. So there's a lot of actual speculation that helps your ranking. Text messaging. Now, people don't text your phone directly, certainly, but there's an option now where you can go and I should say people don't text your phone number directly, so your phone number is not given publicly, your cell phone number, but Google has this option called messaging in your Google My Business back office where you can get messages from customers, and I believe the service that they use is Allo, however you want to say it, and you can get those fed to your phone. Sometimes, especially in this new generation, people want to send a quick text to set up an appointment, and that can be done through Google. So hopefully right now most of you have a Google Maps listing. And if you do, that's wonderful. You need to because it's 2021, right? Now, if you have a Google Maps listing, are you listed on the first page? If someone searches chiropractor in Boston, does your Google Maps listing come up? Or if they search chiropractors Boston, that's important. If you can rank it on the first page, you can get a windfall of traffic, and that's the low-hanging fruit. I have clients, I could tell you, that generate over 30 new patients every single month just by having their Google My Business, Google Maps listing on the very first page consistently in that 3-pack. And there's not a lot of maintenance that's involved. It's staggering. But even at a low end, there should be no reason when you rank in that 3-pack why you're not generating an extra 5 to 10 new patients per month. So it's really, really important not just to have a listing. Do you have any reviews? There are still chiropractors that don't have any reviews in close to 2021, which is insane. Right? We talked about how people are buying doctors like they're buying books online. And if you don't have any reviews, guess what? You don't look review worthy, so that is a bad thing. Do you have the most reviews in your marketplace? My recommendation for you is to get at least 2 to 3 times the amount of reviews than your closest competitor. So there's no choice at all once you start to rank really high. Do you have a negative review? Now, you don't have to type this in the chat right now, but even the best businesses in the world, they will get a negative review periodically. Plan on it. Even if you haven't had one, who knows? Mrs. Jones could have had a bad day. She's walking on the sidewalk. A car splashes her with water, and she's just not feeling it. She comes in your office. She has to wait 2 minutes longer than usual, and she just rips you a new one on Google. I've seen that happen. Don't get frustrated. Bury the negative with positive. That's how it's always been. And certainly if you get a negative review from a hater, somebody that's never been in your office, you can always flag that review and report it to Google. And to show you how important this concept is, I want to give you an example. I just randomly Googled chiropractors in Decula, Georgia. And I just saw this from the Joint in Decula. Now, I don't know much about this facility at all. All I know, though, is they have a 1.5-star review. And if you're the average consumer, there's no way you're going to this place. And that's the unfortunate reality. People make decisions in a very, very minimal time, sometimes a split second. And if you don't have that social proof on the front end, you've already lost the battle. Is it hopeless? No, it's not. One of my clients, Dr. Kathy, she was out west. And before we connected, she connected with me through another coaching client. She was attracting a couple new patients every month from Google. So not doing too bad. She had a lot of room for improvement, but all of a sudden it dried up and 4 or 5 months went by. That's when she contacted me. And what do you think the first thing that I did with her was? I Googled her name. I Googled her practice name. Guess what we found? We found a 1-star review on Google, Yelp, WebMD, RateMDs. I mean, there was like blasted all over the place. This patient was pissed. And I think it was over billing. How many times have we been in our offices and there's just been a slight billing miscommunication? Not intentional, but just for some odd reason, either the patient doesn't listen well or maybe our staff didn't describe it as well as they could have. Doesn't matter. Well, this patient went online and just tore her up. So one of the first things that we did was we initiated a review getting campaign. So we got, I think it was 20 or so reviews within a month and a half or 2 months. And just by doing that alone, she started to notice 2 to 3 calls per week she was now getting from Google, which was crazy. So I think that the first month she had an extra 8 new patients. Now, I want you to think about that in terms of revenue. Now, for her end, her average patient is worth about $1,500, so that's like well over $12,000 for that month. I mean, so she was losing a lot of money. If you have a negative review that's front and center, I don't care if it's on Google, Yelp, or any other platform, you are losing a lot. And we need to make sure that that doesn't happen and or rectify that ASAP. So here's where you start if you're just newer to this. Look for your listing first. Google typically creates these for you for free. If not, you can go to google.com/mybusiness, register. They will send you a postcard in the mail to verify and validate that listing. You want to do that because that is a ranking factor. Now, this is important. There's a lot of different ranking factors. They usually fall into 3 primary categories, though: relevance, prominence, and distance. So that's pretty much it. Now, there are 14 that pretty much matter the most, and some of these are more important ranking factors than others. The first one is to have your profile completed and the proper category selected. Now, if you have a chiropractic office, the primary category should be chiropractor. If you have additional services, maybe you have an acupuncturist in the office, well, that could be a secondary category. But make sure your primary is at least chiropractic. And the profile, just like on Facebook, should be completed in its entirety. If your listing is not claimed and verified, make sure you do that. Google will either call you or send you a postcard in the mail so you can verify that 4-digit number. If it's possible, having the main keyword in your city is always a good idea in the practice. I mean, so if your practice, let's say you practice in Atlanta, and in your practice is called Atlanta Chiropractic and Wellness. Well, that's actually a pretty good name for SEO wise. If your practice is not with the city and chiropractic in the name, don't worry about it. I'm not going to tell you to change your practice name because you can still rank in the top 3, but just an FYI. Activity on the profile. This is a big one. The activity primarily consists of you uploading new photos to the profile, getting reviews, and responding to those reviews, and also posting on Google like you would post on Facebook. There's a section back there where you can post primarily and update your status, essentially. Activity is very critical. Business description, you need to have that filled out, obviously, to let people know what you do. Citations are simply your practice listed on other directories around the internet, like Yellow Pages or Yelp, Super Pages, Health Grades, Wellness.com. I mean, there's a bunch of different ones on there. And you should, let's say, Google a practice that's been in your area for 20, 30 years, Google their name, and make sure your practice is added to those same directories. The content quality on your website actually does influence your Google Maps ranking now. It's pretty interesting. So if you're consistently putting out fresh original content on your regular chiropractic website, either on new pages or the blog, that does matter. Click-through rate. This is essentially where if I Google Boston chiropractor and I click the first Maps listing that I see, Google favors that, and that's like a vote for that chiropractic listing. And there are ways that you can have your patients or family or friends go and search specific keywords and obviously have them click on your listing. And if they book, that whole thing registers in Google's system. The higher you rank on the first page, you get the click-through rate very, very easily. It's going to go up through the roof. But if you're not on the first page, then you might have to be strategic on how you use this to get there. Website updated and optimized for desktop and mobile. Mobile is a biggie as we move into 2021. And Google, if it's not mobilized correctly, you will see a drop in the rankings. Backlinks are still relevant. You don't want to go crazy with them, but if you get a backlink, for example, from a good website like YouTube or a PR website, or if you've got a guest blog post on a prestigious medical website that's really, really well trusted, or a local newspaper, those can increase your ranking. Or there's another great website called Help a Reporter Out, Hero, where you can subscribe for $40 a month or so, and they can send you potentially news articles that you can contribute to and get your link in a bio. That does matter. I was talking with a guy this last weekend when I was speaking at the FCA's event in Florida, and we were talking, and he actually got an EDU link from Harvard, of all places, on his website. And of course, you can imagine what happened after that link went into place. Bam, his ranking shot all the way up to the top, because that's a very, very credible institution. Reviews matter, but they're not the only thing that influences ranking. Some of you docs come up to me and say, Matt, I've got 100 reviews, but I'm not on the first page of Google and my Maps listing when somebody searches my city chiropractor. Why is that? Well, I'm telling you why right now. There's many other factors that you have to consider, but reviews are important, so you have to get them consistently. Set a goal. Make it 5 reviews a week. 5 to 10 reviews a week, no problem. If you can do that, you'll start to see a big increase. Traffic to your chiropractic website matters. Getting your Maps listing embedded on your Google, on your contact page. A lot of doctors already have this, but if you don't, that does make it easier for Google to track. And of course, the factor that we really don't control is the distance. If somebody is searching from their smartphone, or the distance to the town center, sometimes Google will rank those listings closer. But if you dial in the rest of the factors, I would say 90% plus of the time, you will rank in the top 3-pack on Google. Much more weight this year is being placed on factors like mobile friendliness and on-page SEO of your website, social signals, which means that if your website or the Maps listing, people are sharing it via the social platforms, if they're tweeting it, sharing it on Facebook, such. Images that are added to the Google My Business on your main and or when you post, and Google My Business posts. Those are definitely being weighted more, included within the messaging. Local phone numbers are also a factor too. Now, I don't know how much Google is weighing the local phone numbers, but it just makes sense, right? I understand why many doctors might have an 800 call tracking number. I get it, but if you have a local phone number, it just looks more credible in the eyes of Google, and you will be more likely to rank a little higher. We already talked about embedding that Google map on the contact page of your site. This is important. Use any and all features that Google rolls out for Google Maps. This should be brain dead obvious. And by the way, I just wanted to draw your attention. This was actually posted last year, but Google discontinued toll-free phone support. It sucks, I know, because with AdWords, you can get somebody on the phone very quick with AdWords. That's where you're spending money with Google. Unfortunately, you kind of have to go to this particular website. So if you go to support.google.com/business/contact/business_other_problem, I'll leave this here for a couple seconds. But yeah, that's how you contact their business support. So it's not the easiest thing in the world, but if you ever have a question or you want to get some manual eyeballs on your listing, it would be a good idea to do that. Going back to what I said before, who would you obviously choose if you were a prospective patient looking for a chiropractor in your city? Well, you would choose the one that hands down has the most reviews. So stack the deck in your favor. One of my clients, Dr. Frank, talks about when he implemented this, and this was back a while ago. He had 40 reviews and was at that time was 3 times the amount of reviews than anyone in his area. He had 8 new patients in 1 week alone just from that. And I could tell you many stories. Dr. Dan talks about he did everything in our social media elite training, and 4 months after opening a new office, he's been able to get to the top of the front page of Google without spending a penny in marketing. Thank you, Matthew Loop. So that's a really cool thing. Happens all the time if you're smart about it. Now here's a quick script to get you reviews relatively fast. Mrs. Jones walks in your office and she's thrilled about chiropractic and the work that you've done. All you need to say is this: Mrs. Jones, we're thrilled you've noted such great results with chiropractic. Tell you what, we would love your feedback on Google before you leave today, because it helps us help more people that never knew chiropractic was a great option for headaches, just as an example. And would you mind giving us your feedback right now, a couple minutes before you leave? And you're going to look that patient in the eye and wait until they say yes. 9 times out of 10, they'll say, oh, yeah, absolutely, especially if you hit them at the right time. Everyone's a little bit different when you ask them for their Google review. I never say, hey, would you give us a 5-star review? You don't say that. We'll just say we would love your feedback and let them know why. And 9 times out of 10, they'll do it. Then after they say yes, then you can have your CA just take them to the reception area where they can let you know what their life was like before coming in the office and what it's like now. Some states don't have a problem with incentives. Some of my doctors will also give an incentive like, hey, if you're able to do this today for us, we've got a special gift of appreciation for you. It's normally valued at $15, but it's just our way of saying thank you for letting us serve you in the community. This could be a bottle of BioFreeze or a free supplement or whatever you decide, but check with your state board to make sure you are compliant. The money is in the follow-up, though. If you do the review protocol in the office, that's going to be your highest compliance for sure. But if somebody just somehow they can't do it right then and there, you need to follow up with them, whether that's text, email, on the next visit, just a reminder, so you actually can get the review. Now imagine if you would have implemented this just 6 months ago. Pandemic or not, people are still going out because they have a lot of aches and pains, especially right now. I mean, I have a lot of clients that are just setting records because the time is just right. Stress affects the body physically, chemically, emotionally, and we've certainly had just a little bit of stress over the last, 6-8 months. I'm sure you'd agree with that, right? So it's the perfect time. But if you would have implemented this 6 months ago, how far along would you have been? Now, I get review software questions all the time, and there's definitely value in automated follow-up for sure, because obviously it gives you feedback and can prevent some negative reviews. So I will say, hey, if you have a great program, continue using it, but definitely ask people in the office, look them in the eye, get the verbal confirmation. My number one social proof rule is very simple. Never let it work against you ever. I don't care if it's on Google, the most reviews, if it's on Facebook, getting the most fans. The internet is a popularity contest, and when you win this battle, your foot is already in the door. I think you already know that the public is very skeptical these days when it comes to buying, so you've got to stack the deck in your favor from as many ways and angles as you can so you can actually help people. So get a plan of action in place. 5 reviews, 10 reviews every single week. Get all the team in your office on the same page regarding this protocol that I just let you know about today. And when you do that, that consistency is going to move mountains. I want to make sure you are repackaging reviews as well. So any positive review that you get, it's really good, you should be posting it on your Facebook fan page or copying and pasting it. Say something like, oh, hey, we got this great review from Mrs. Smith this morning. Here's what she said. And then you can copy and paste that review and put a link to the screenshots in the link in the comments to the screenshot if you'd like to. Or you can have maybe that same patient give you a review on another network like WebMD or HealthGrades or what have you, if they've been it. When you can take those same reviews and put them in the office on an entire wall or in a book or in a handout that you give to your new patients for social proof, right? We can always repackage these reviews. So mistakes to avoid. Getting reviews from the same computer in the office, that is a big no-no with Google and has always been that way. That will get you, flagged, and a lot of your reviews just won't stick. So don't do that. If they take and do it from their phone, that's perfectly okay, because if you're in a restaurant or any other business, it's very common for people to give reviews and feedback from their mobile device from your Wi-Fi. That's fine. Mistake number 2 is inconsistency, right? That's the kiss of death. You have to be consistent with this, and I'm telling you, over time, that snowball will turn into an avalanche, and you're going to get 5 reviews, 10 reviews, 100 reviews in a very short amount of time, and be the only logical choice. Mistake number 3, not getting started. It's almost 2021. This is how people are looking and scrutinizing chiropractors. I don't care if you have a large Facebook presence and you're doing a tremendous amount of advertising. This complements that perfectly, because once you ramp up Google, your conversions increase with your Facebook advertising, because people see your stuff there and they look at Google to see what others have said about you. It's not rocket science here. Yelp, I get questions about this network all the time and it sucks. I get it. They filter reviews like crazy. So you've got to do it in a more organic fashion. Now, Yelp has a great feature on the website where you can go when you're logged in for your personal profile, and in the upper right-hand corner, there's an option, if you click on your profile, your image, to find friends. Once you hit that find friends option, then it brings you to a screen where you can now search for your patients, their names and or their emails, so you can find out who's really active on Yelp. And by the way, they have to be active if you want their review to stick. I recommend, at least if you're going to ask people for reviews from Yelp, and Yelp doesn't even like you to ask, but if you don't ask, you don't get. So if you find people that are using Yelp, it would be very smart of you to have them just check in on the Yelp application in your office, and then Yelp usually will prompt them to leave feedback, which looks more natural. And hopefully you're asking patients that have at least over 10 reviews that they've given on Yelp, and they've got a bunch of friends. Now, I'm just using that as a number, but if I've seen Yelp filter a lot of 4 and 5-star reviews. So really, you just want to have them, make sure they have some reviews. And, if you think that I don't need to be using Yelp right now, well, guess what? If you look at iPhones bring back Yelp listings through Apple Maps. Smart speakers in your house, many of them, if you say, hey, who's the top 3 chiropractors in Atlanta, they pull back Yelp listings. So you have to have a Yelp presence. It's a necessary evil, I get it, but to give you an example, I have a doctor that I'm thinking of off the top of my head, and he's in Raleigh, North Carolina. He generates an extra, I think it's over 15 new patients every month just from Yelp. And he doesn't spend any money. You don't need to spend any money with them. You just need to boost the organic, and I'm telling you, that can really boost up your new patients. So powerful system if you get it in place. Other review websites that are definitely high leverage. WebMD now, they have a very large amount of brand equity. Everyone knows WebMD. And more recently, they've actually made a push to start reviewing practitioners. So you can have your name as a chiropractor listed on there, and you should get 10 or more reviews, because that community is active, and that could certainly produce passive new patients. RateMDs, Health Grades, Yellow Pages, Facebook has their own review option, Wellness.com, Nextdoor, Bing. You should definitely have your fan pages on all of these, and your listings be getting regular feedback. This is a no-brainer for passive new patients. So again, how much different would your practice, reputation, and life be if you implemented these strategies just 6 months ago? I'm telling you, this can be a life changer. I don't want to see you at a seminar or an event or whatever in 6 months or a year, and you said, well, Matt, I didn't do what you recommended, and then I finally did it last month, and now we're seeing, this massive growth, because I know how much money and opportunity and impact you're losing in your community, right? So get it in place little by little. How much more goodwill, trust, and visibility would you have garnered? How much more positive brand equity would you have? How many more new patient referrals from Google would you have each month? And by the way, throughout this last 8 months, I've heard from so many chiropractors and clients. They come up to me and say, hey, Matt, everything you taught me about social media and Google in your social media elite training or your personal coaching, this is why we're busy and we're doing well during this tumultuous time during the pandemic. Like, people are finding us online. All of our screenings and our events dried up. We can't host events anymore outside. So I'm telling you, this is a great system, and it's not a one and done fly by night thing. You're creating systems and social proof that will feed your practice and make it bulletproof even in the toughest of times. And we've seen this over the last 8 months. How many more people would you be helping in your community locally? Listen, I've encountered any obstacle or challenge that you'll face with Google or social media. Usually on trainings like this, I have a few type of doctors though. Number one, you've seen this information and you thought it was valuable, but you're probably not going to do anything with it. And I sincerely hope for your sake that's not you, because this is a very dire situation. And the unfortunate thing is there have been a lot of businesses that have went bankrupt over the last many months, chiropractors included. It really hurts and it just makes me angry when I think about it. But we have to drill this in now. It's no longer an option. The second type of doctor you might be is that, you're doing decently well in social media. You're, maybe attracting some new patients here and there. You don't really have a well-oiled strategy, but you need to master this stuff and you want to take it to the next level. And the third type of doctor you might be, maybe you're already attracting an extra 20 plus new patients from Google or social media, but you're capable of a lot more. And sometimes it's those minor tweaks that can make the biggest growth gains. And regardless of which category that you fall in, I can definitely help you today grow. So I'd like to introduce you to my flagship training, Social Media Elite. This is a home study course that's instantly downloadable with over 70 video tutorials. It was created by a doctor, chiropractor, myself, and it works for any type of practice, whether you're a straight chiro, personal injury, functional medicine, neurology, weight loss, neuropathy, all of the above. And I also have a 6-month money-back guarantee with this training. No doctor ever returns it because one new patient more than pays for the system, and you're learning systems that will feed your office for life. So here's what you get in the training. You're going to learn about Facebook organic referral marketing strategies. This is the free stuff, and I basically teach you where to get your posts and how to post, and you look over my shoulder to figure out where that low-hanging fruit is and what you can do to generate more traffic and attract more new patients without spending any money. You'll also learn Facebook advertising and marketing, and I give you sample ads and campaigns to swipe within the videos. Lots of great strategies, from personal story promos to the direct response marketing to retargeting to all of these different elements that once you combine everything together, it just makes for an unstoppable machine that feeds your office. Google My Business. I have an entire module devoted for this for you so I can help you. If you really enjoyed the training today, you're going to like that module because it will fill you in step by step so you get it right the first time and you don't have to spend more money than what you need to. Search engine optimization. Every doc wants to get obviously higher rankings, so I show you some of the better ways to do that without having to be a techie, geeky genius. Instagram marketing. There's been a massive migration lately from Facebook to Instagram that has over 1 billion users, and there's not a lot of political nonsense or whining over that way, so it's easier on the ears and the eyes. That's why people, I think, like it more. So I have an entire module devoted to sharing with you, like, what are the highest grossing chiropractic offices doing, not just on Facebook, what are they doing on Instagram to see growth? So you'll learn that. You'll also learn about LinkedIn marketing and advertising. This is a network that very few doctors truly tap into, and it's unfortunate because it's the most affluent social network and where Fortune 500 CEOs spend their spare time. So we have to capitalize on that. You'll also learn about YouTube video marketing, the best practices, the do's and the don'ts, how to rank your videos at the top of Google for certain keywords, and much, much more. You'll also learn about TikTok. Now, TikTok's been very controversial in the last 6 months or so. It's great that they now have American investments, so that's not going anywhere anytime soon. It has over 900 million downloads. This thing is just explosive with growth. In fact, I put a video up last week on TikTok. Right now it has almost 100,000 video views. This reminds me of how YouTube was back in the day in 2006 once I got on YouTube right at the start. We might not ever see another opportunity like this, so I show you some high leverage ways to harness TikTok. You'll also learn about Twitter marketing. You can attract patients down to the second because it's conversation that happens real quick time if you know what you're doing. Outsourcing and leveraging. Yeah, listen, you got to get your hands dirty when it comes to social media if you really want to knock it out of the park and be in contention with some of the highest grossing practices. But there is a time and place to outsource and leverage certain activities, right? Because through delegation, we're able to free up our time and work on the business even more. You'll have a quick start manual, excuse me, and also a task list to guide you through. Now, this thing is like a 3,000 square foot or 3,000 foot high bird's eye view of everything that will eventually get implemented. You don't have to do everything at once, and you're not going to let that overwhelm you, but just to show you how the machine will work. And there's just a lot more things in Social Media Elite. What it will do for you, this course, is it will give you strategy. This is what separates the doctors that attract a few patients here, a few patients there, with the ones that consistently do 30 to 40 plus new patients every single month just from Google or social media. It will show you how to get massive amounts of traffic to your practice website. A lot of docs, they will throw their websites under the bus before they know if it actually converts. They don't really get enough traffic to their properties to determine. So I show you how to get a large amount of local traffic. You'll also learn how to get top Google rankings. If you understand how to do this, well, that's passive traffic that you can get and visitors to your chiropractic website, which means that you'll have a more consistent stream of new patients. I'll teach you how to become an unstoppable public relations machine that you couldn't turn off even if you wanted to. That's the beauty of social media. And you'll also discover how to attract more new patients. I don't care where you are on the spectrum, you will use this system and you will grow. You'll also discover a set of skills that will pay you for life. This isn't like a newspaper drop that you do at one time and you see the fruits of your labor one time. You can set up systems, and you can ask a lot of my clients and they'll tell you the same thing, that it's been feeding their office for years and years. Now, some of you might say, well, I don't have the time to do this. But here's the deal. We're turning that time that you're already on the computer into productive time to market the office. So it's not any extra time. And if by chance you really don't have anything, you might want to cut out an hour of TV every single week to get these systems up and going. But I would say 30 minutes a day is really all you need. You don't need to spend massive amounts of time on this. Now, in the future, as things ramp up, you can absolutely devote more time, or you can hire somebody to devote that time. And of course, some will say, I'm not a computer genius. Well, you don't have to be a major in biochemistry to make this stuff work, right? Or techie geeky. It's just not that way. Is it new learning? Yes, it is. It's not rocket science, though. It's just that repetition will breed the familiarity. So if you want professional guidance and mentorship, this is a great training for you. One of my clients, Dr. Andy, he talks about he purchased Social Media Elite a couple years ago and was getting 60 to 100 views per day, new patients in the clinic, 60 per month, and about 40 per month were from the internet. Really cool stuff. A friend and colleague, Dr. Sachin Patel, talks about how he used the strategies that he learned from my program systems and the coaching to generate over $1 million in revenue. That's incredible. Dr. Susan talks about how she says I wanted to tell you that since I've been consulting with you, my weekly new patients are up 16 this week from 5, and I'm looking for an associate to help me with all of the new business. I actually had a new patient yesterday who told me at a health fair a couple years ago that she'd never go to a chiropractor. She doesn't know I remember her. I've done consulting of one kind or another in most of my 39 years of practice. This has worked faster and better than anything else. I am forever grateful, Dr. Matthew. You rockin'. She gave me this testimonial about, I think it was like 2 or 3 weeks ago, actually. Dr. Ryan talks about every day this week, somebody called for a new patient appointment from Facebook or YouTube. Unreal. That's now 9 in the last week and a half. Took a bit to get going, but I'm impressed. Now, here's the deal. Sometimes it does take, there is a ramp-up time, right? You're planting seeds. Other markets, it can happen real quick. But regardless, if you keep working it little by little, eventually that snowball will turn into an avalanche. It always does. Dr. Sean says 7 new patients in the last 5 days, all but one from Google searches, and that was a direct referral from an MD. Thanks, Matthew Loop. And Dr. Ryan talks about how he really hasn't utilized everything in this program, just a few strategies, but now he's on a specific waiting list there in Texas. Dr. Jeremiah says we went from 2 to 3 new patients per month to over 25 per month from Facebook with your help. Dr. Brian says over the last 12 months, we have averaged 35 new patients per month from social media with your coaching. That's always amazing to hear from clients. So massive opportunity out there. I don't care where you've started from, what level you're at, and regardless of what's going on in the economy, people still need chiropractic. They still need to get adjusted, and the time is now. So for today, what I'm doing is I'm offering 37% off of Social Media Elite. That means you save $220 for today's webinar, and I'm going to throw in an extra $3,288 in bonuses. The first one is a private phone consultation with me. That's a $500 value because I realize your practice is probably different from the doc down the street, and I want to tailor this to your office so you get it right and you hit the ground running. You'll also get access to our private Facebook group, which is $9.97 value. Actually, that's priceless. Can't really put a price tag there. There's over 1,600 doctors in that group right now, and if you have questions at any time, you can always tag me in the group, and I'll be happy to answer. And we have a lot of other knowledgeable doctors in the group. You'll get access to the 365 chiropractic graphics package, $197 value. So if you ever run out of an idea to post on social media, well, you can use that. You get free course upgrades for life. I'm not going to have a Social Media Elite 2.0. I periodically will throw new trainings in the course, so you get access to new updates. And that's just how I've done. I've had clients that have been clients for 10 years say, hey, Matt, do you have a newest update? And we give it to them, right? That's if you're going to trust me and invest in our products and programs, I'm going to take care of you. That's the way that I've always looked at it because I value your trust. You're also going to get unlimited email support. So if you have questions, you can also email me if you'd like. You'll get access to my 3-day new patient email sequence as well. You can modify this with some subtle tweaks and turn it into a reactivation sequence if you have a email list of your patients. So it's a really powerful sequence. In fact, one of my clients just ran this a couple weeks ago. She made some tweaks and made it a reactivation sequence around this whole pandemic, and from her list of 1,500 chiropractors, she had 13 reactivate within a matter of 3 days. That's pretty darn cool, if you say so. So here's what to do next. If you like the idea of attracting an extra 40 plus new patients per month without spending any money on advertising, click the big orange add to cart button one time, and then you can get the discount. The total price for today is a one-time $377. Like I said, you save 37%. It's normally valued at $597, but you get it just for a one-time payment of $377. You'll get instant access to the trainings after you're in, and if by chance you don't see an email, make sure you check your junk and your spam maybe 15 to 30 minutes after, because sometimes it does get filtered in there, and certainly with all the the promotions tabs on Google or the social and the junk, there's just a lot of places it could be. So if you don't see it, just check those, or you can also email my assistant, Anna, at info@dcincome.com. That's info@dcincome.com, and she will get you the update there. Now, if you're on this training right now and you've been through the Social Media Elite program and you've just seen some amazing results and you're ready to crank it up a notch, maybe you want to work with me one-on-one, then you can also email Anna about the private coaching option that we have. That's a higher tier where we're on the phone every single week for 12 sessions, and that's really allowing you to hit fast growth. But anyway, I'm here to serve you in any way that I can. There's never been a better opportunity to use social media, Google, the internet as a whole, to grow your practice, to help more people, and to just have a better life for your family. This is a very interesting world that we live in. It doesn't matter what happens in terms of who gets in. If it's the economy, I've heard it said that there's no good economy, there's no bad economy. There's just your economy. So I'm here to help and support you. Click the big orange yellow add to cart button, grab Social Media Elite, and start to implement some of the trainings. And if you have any questions along the way, just let me know. So hope you found this training valuable. Let other chiropractors know, and I will talk to you soon. I wish you massive prosperity and success as we move forward into 2021. We'll talk soon, guys. Ciao.